Hi, you're watching Cooking with Diane. I'm Diane, and today we're going to be making pan-seared chicken breasts with a classic pan sauce. This is a great technique to have in your repertoire because it's elegant enough to serve to guests, but it really doesn't take a lot of time, and you can kind of use whatever you have in the sauce. It's very versatile. So we're going to start with the chicken. You want to buy boneless, skinless chicken breasts. If your family's really hungry or if you want to make sure that there's leftovers, buy one chicken breast per person. But you'll see that they're actually pretty big servings. So if you're feeding a lot of people or if it's part of a larger buffet, you could probably do one chicken breast per every 2 people. So these are my boneless, skinless chicken breasts. The first thing we're going to do is actually pound them flat. This will enable us to cook them quickly in a pan. When a chicken breast is 1 to 2 inches thick, it takes a long time to cook all the way through. But when you pound it flat, that shortens the cooking time considerably. So to pound any kind of meat into a thinner cutlet, you might want to use one of these. This is a meat mallet. This is a really old one from the 70s. It doesn't matter too much whether it has these ridges on the edges or not. Those are more for tenderizing meat. If you have one that has a flat edge, that's perfectly fine just to get the meat a little bit thinner. If you don't have a meat mallet, you can really just use anything that's kind of heavy in your kitchen. A skillet, an unopened wine bottle. I like to use my rolling pin for this kind of thing. You also want to make sure you're not going to splatter raw chicken juice all over your kitchen, so make sure you cover it with something. I usually put it between 2 pieces of parchment paper. You could also use plastic wrap. You could even use kitchen towels as long as you wash and sanitize them really well when you're done. So what we're going to do is we're going to put each chicken breast between the parchment paper, and we're going to pound it until it's an even 1/2 inch thickness. So it should look like this when it's done. It's evenly a 1/2 inch thick, and it should be wider in area. You might notice that the chicken tender comes off. That's fine, we'll just cook it separately. Now we just want to season our chicken cutlets generously with lots of salt on each side and pepper if you like it. And now they're ready to cook. Once you've finished handling the raw chicken, don't forget to wash your hands and sanitize your workspace. So to cook the chicken, we're going to be cooking it in a very hot skillet. You really don't need a nonstick skillet for this. You could use a cast iron skillet. I'm using a stainless steel skillet. To make sure your skillet is super duper hot, try just splashing a little bit of water on it. So just wet your fingers and then throw the water on the skillet. If it sizzles and evaporates right away, your skillet is hot enough. You also want to make sure your chicken is super dry on the outside, so try patting it with paper towels before you put it in the skillet. We're going to put a little bit of oil in the pan since the chicken doesn't have much fat on it. So you want to use a high heat oil for this, like canola. Just enough to coat the bottom. And then you can go ahead and put your chicken in a single layer on the pan. While our chicken is cooking, I'm going to mince some onion and some garlic for the pan sauce. So you can make pan sauce with or without onion, but in general, I think it's nice to have some kind of allium there. Shallot is classic. You could use just onion, just garlic, just shallot, or any combination of those things. For 2 chicken breasts, we really don't need a lot of sauce, so I'm just going to use 1/4 of an onion. And I just want to cut it pretty small so it melts into the sauce. The onion and the garlic can just hang out on the side in any sort of container together. Another thing you can do while you're waiting for the chicken to cook is mince up some fresh parsley or thyme to use as a nice fresh garnish. So now it's been 2 minutes and the chicken should come off the pan really easily. If it's still stuck to the pan, then let it go longer. So your chicken should be nice and golden brown like that. So turn it over and cook it for 2 more minutes on the other side. And the best way to tell chicken is whether chicken is done or not is just to cut into a piece. If your chicken looks like this, with a darker pink area in the center, it's not done yet. So you can either cook it for longer in the pan at this point, or put it in the oven for 5 to 10 minutes. Now it's time to make the sauce. We're going to make the sauce in exactly the same pan with all of this stuff in it that we cooked the chicken. This stuff that the chicken left in the pan is actually full of flavor. It's called the fond, or the base of the sauce. So don't throw it out. The first thing we're going to do is add a little bit of fat to the pan. I'm adding butter, you could use oil, and put in the onions and garlic we minced. Because we cut them so small, they should cook quickly. Once your onions are cooked down and translucent, it's time to add your liquid. Generally, you want to use about 1 cup of liquid for this size pan. You can use white wine or stock. I'm using some homemade chicken stock today. And what we want to do is reduce the liquid. So we actually want to reduce the volume of liquid, which will concentrate its flavor and make it thicker, more sauce-like. So we want high heat, and we want lots and lots of bubbles. And this wide pan will give us surface area for excess water to evaporate out of the sauce. So now my sauce has been cooking for about 5 minutes. And we started with 1 cup of liquid, and it's reduced to probably about 1/3 of a cup. That's what we want. You can also tell that it's gotten thicker because it looks more syrupy when I drag my spatula through it. At this point, if you want to squeeze in a little bit of fresh lemon, just for some freshness, if you like that flavor, this is the right time to do that. To thicken this into a complete sauce, we are using butter. It's important that your butter is really cold. We're just going to add 1 or 2 pats at a time and slowly melt them into our reduced stock. You can turn the heat off for this if you like. The reason we want the butter to be cold is that we don't want it to melt right away. We want it to melt really slowly into the broth so that it creates an emulsion. The emulsion is what's going to make this into a nice, thick, spoonable sauce. So this was about half a stick of butter I put into this sauce. But you can see the sauce is now lighter in color and much thicker in consistency. Your sauce should be a consistency called nappé consistency, which means it will visibly coat the back of a spoon, and you can drag your finger through it and leave a little trail there where your finger was, and it doesn't fill back in. Make sure to taste your sauce to see if you want to add more lemon or some salt and pepper. So to serve your chicken, you could serve it alongside some roasted vegetables and potatoes, and then just spoon your sauce all over it. Don't forget to garnish it with something pretty. And there's your dinner. So that's how to make seared chicken cutlets and a classic French pan sauce. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.